Hello, everyone. This is Brother Benson, and I'm joined with two of my colleagues. This is to say Miguda and Makobura. Miguda, habari gani?
Niko salama kakangu. Habari yako pamoja na kakangu Makobura, mko na hali gani pahali mko?
Mimi kwangu naweza zungumzia yangu, mimi niko vizuri. Labda Makobura pia atatuambia yeye yuko vipi.
Kwa vile mmeanza kuzungumza kwa lugha ya Kiswahili, hata mimi pia itabidi sasa nipambane nizungumze kwa hiyo lugha, ndiposa tusikilizane, na tena kwamba na natumai mnajua ya kwamba mambo imekuwa mabaya kati ya nchi yetu ya Tanzania ambao ni watu wa Swahili lugha yao ya kitaifa, na wameshinda wakizungumza kwa lugha ya Kiswahili na hivyo basi wamekuwa mingi, lakini leo, kuanzia leo, natumai ya kwamba yatakuwa yamekwisha hayo mambo kati ya nchi hizi mbili, Tanzania na Kenya, kwa vile tuliona mambo ya Mungu ni mengi na mkubwa wetu Rais William Ruto alijitokeza na naye pia akasema kama tumewakwaza Watanzania kwa njia lolote, basi sisi wa Kenya tunasema ni pole, na tena kwa wenzetu wa Uganda na vile bila kusahau, unaweza kumbuka hata mara ya kwanza tuliona rais wa Tanzania na bibie mama wa kitaifa wa Uganda naye pia walijitokeza wawili na kuonyesha ile wito wao wa kulinda hiyo nchi. Wamejitokeza na wao wakasema pia hata sisi tunajua tumekosa mali pengine katika hii uongozi wetu hii ambayo ilianza 1985 hadi leo, na wao pia wakasema wanaomba msamaha kwa wa Uganda vile. So leo naweza sema mambo ya kuombana msamaha imekuwa ikiendelea, na mimi naweza sema iko sawa, iko vizuri. It is a good way and the right way to go. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, asante sana Makobura kwa hayo ambao umesema kwamba kuomba msamaha ni jambo mzuri sana sana ukiishi katika dunia hii, kwa sababu unajua kama kawaida tunasema kwamba sisi kama binadamu hatujakamilika. Kila mtu ako na mapungufu yake. Hatunaweza pata katika uongozi, pia unaweza pata kwamba kiongozi fulani ako na mapungufu yake, ama inaweza kuwa kwamba kauli ambazo labda alichukua hazikukuwa ambayo zinafurahisha, ama hazikukuwa zimeletea nchi sema kwamba heshima. Na umezungumzia mjadala ambao ipo kwa saizi kuhusiana na viongozi wa Kenya na viongozi wa Tanzania, sana sana wabunge kule wanalumbana. Lakini unajua pia kuomba radhi, inafaa uombe radhi kwa heshima, itoke moyoni, isiwe tu unaomba radhi tu kwa sababu unaomba radhi. Ukitaka kuomba radhi lazima ujue kwamba ama ukubali kwamba kuna kosa ambayo labda wewe ulifanya, ama kuna tendo la kosa ambayo kulifanyika mahali. Na kama unaomba radhi, toke kwa moyo ndani, na maongezi yako aliseme kwamba venye unaizungumzia inafaa pia kuonyesha hiyo ishara kwamba unaomba radhi. Lakini si tu usiombe tu kwa uso, ama uombe kwa sababu labda unataka watu wasikie umeomba radhi, lakini ndani ya moyo hiyo radhi haipo kwa wale ambao umewakosea na vile wale ambao wamekukosea. So, maoni yangu tu. Miguda, wewe unasema vipi?
Kuomba radhi ni kitu muhimu kwa maisha ya binadamu. Lakini kuna wale pia wanaojifanya kupendekeza kwa wengine, ambao wanaomba tu radhi tu juu wako na hiyo jukumu ya kuomba radhi, lakini kwa ukweli wanajipendekeza kwa wenzao, na kuna yale yaliyotokea ambao wanafaa kuitazama ama kuhakikisha kwamba wametekeleza hayo maneno kabla ya kuomba radhi. Sasa unapata mwanasiasa pengine anataka kujipendekeza kwa nchi jirani ama anataka kujipendekeza kwa rais jirani, lakini vile vile wale wenzetu wa Kenya haki yao yalikiukwa, wajapatiwa haki. Sasa hata tunapoomba radhi, lakini lazima pia tusijifanye tu wale watu wanajipendekeza kwa wenzao, tukuwe watu wako genuine.
Okay, asante sana. Labda tutarejelea hayo ama tutarejelea mazungumzo yetu katika lugha ya Kiswahili, lakini tusiwe wale ambao watakuwa wanakwaza ndugu yetu Marco Bura, kwa sababu unajua bado kama saizi najua bado anaendelea na masomo ili akue ama aendelesha ubora wake katika lugha ya Kiswahili ama kuzungumza na Kiswahili vizuri. Sasa leo hii ama tunaweza sema kwamba huwezi kuwa mchoyo wa fadhila unamwambia bana, tutakuwa mchoyo sana katika kuzungumza, tutakuwa tunazungumza lugha labda ambayo labda hautakuwa unaweza kuzungumzia kwa haraka sana, kwa sababu wewe ni mwanafunzi bado. Itabidi turejelee lugha yetu ya kawaida, ile ya lugha ambayo sisi tulichukua pale kwa wakoloni, lugha ya Kimombo ama lugha ya wenyewe. Sawa, utatuia radhi.
Niko sawa, najiamini sana kwa vile nilikuwa nikifuatilia yale ambayo yanaendelea huko Tanzania, hasa kwa bunge la kitaifa ya Tanzania, na hapo naweza sema ya kwamba nimesoma vitu mingi sana ambazo nina uhakika saizi naweza kwa umakini zungumza kwa Kiswahili vifaavyo mpaka mwisho wa hiki kipindi.
Uko sawa vizuri hapo?
Kabisa.
Okay, hiyo ni vizuri. Kama uko vyema ndugu yangu, basi mimi sina siri. Okay, thank you so much everyone who has joined us, and thank you so much for everybody who will be following this conversation. Today there was a special, I would call it a special day. Is something that has always been happening in our country. We call it the National Prayer Breakfast, where leaders come together and they pray. And I think this started all the way immediately, not immediately, after we had post-election violence. But today in the national breakfast, so many figures were missing as compared to the last year, where majority of leaders, especially political parties, especially the political class, were present. Because when we talk of national prayers, it brings people from all walk of background, be it that you are opposition, you are who you disagree with anybody. But now this is a prayer that brings country together, remind us of wrong things that we've done, or praying for our country, and it's like looking at ourselves and correct our ways. In the history of prayers, especially national prayers, I don't think it's something that started. And I want to bring you back even into our history, especially the African traditional way of life. The scenes like this were witnessed, but they were witnessed in a very different way. And for instance, if a community is going through something that is unusual, then they will ask for the gods. And when they ask for the gods, the wise men or the religious leaders, okay, they will gather together and ask the gods and even pray. That's why you find, like, during the droughts, in areas, maybe if the droughts were, there can be droughts, but there is that one that is usually unbearable. That one is usually uncircumstances. Kuna zile wakati zige zimekutembelea, unaona. So things that are very unusual. So you have to go and pray, or the people, the leadership of the community are given that. And you remember those days they would go to the shrines and offer those sacrifices, the libations, to the ancestors. As you know, that in African traditional society, what usually happens is that people used to pray, or people used to praise the supernatural being through the ancestors, because the African traditional society believes in one thing: there's ancestors and there's the living dead. So you can pray through all this. If you look at the tradition, when you talk about the African spirituality, so it usually happens whereby you pray through your ancestors and the living dead. So this was one of those in now the new Africa, or the modernized Africa, whereby people would come together. So it was a good thing for the nation, I would say. But there are also some things that we picked, especially the preacher of the day and the prayers that were made by Beatrice Elachi. We will look at it and reflect on the country and say that, are we going to change our ways immediately after the national prayer? Because that is what usually happens, that when we pray like that, we repent, we realize that there are bad things that we've done as a nation. So we are coming together to repent and ask God for forgiveness, which was part of the conversation today. It was about forgiveness. The preacher of the day talked about forgiveness, and he spoke of something that is very important about reflecting on the nation. And if the administration and the people in the leadership would just go back and listen to that sermon again, it talks about the Gen Z and how, so that is something that we will talk about. So Miguda, maybe your take on the prayers, and before we go to what really, really transpired in the prayers.
Prayers are good, and we also encourage people to pray. As a staunch Christian, I believe that we should pray, as Jesus taught us that we should pray without ceasing, and we should pray always, because the war we are fighting, it is not our war. It's a controversy between the God and Satan. That controversy is not, human beings are just being used as a channel to pass information. Yeah. But the real war is between the darkness and the light. Therefore, the war we are at right now, it is not our war. It is a war that must be fought with the light and the darkness. And actually, the light has already won that war long time ago. It was won. As people who have gone deep into theology like myself, we understand that when Jesus was transfigured, during this transfiguration, Jesus was glorified as a Christian point of view. So when he was glorified, that time we won that war as the followers of Christ. And we believe that it was finished at the cross. We're just waiting for the second coming of Christ. And it's very clear in the book of Romans that if you confess with your mouth that Jesus Christ is Lord, and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you are saved. That's how Christians took that salvation. But the issue whereby people have converged to pray, we are not castigating. We allow them to pray. It's a good thing, because remember, even among the 10 commandments, the fourth one is very clear that remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. It means that people can forget about God. So it's good to be reminded that remember always to pray to God. So it is good for the people to pray, because human beings can forget. We should not forget about God. And in the context of the African traditional society, because we are Africans, we are not Western people, we understand our tradition very well, that even in our communities, during a crisis or crisis, people tend to come together to pray to the Almighty, so that in the near future, we cannot get ourselves into such crisis. And I believe as a country, it's good for us to come together to pray, so that we cannot get into temptations. Like I've said earlier, that this war is not our war. But most importantly, that must be noted down, is that even if we are praying, we should always remember that, because they talk about forgiveness, and our politicians have always been that we will forgive you, but we cannot forget. Even as we want to tell the people who are asking for forgiveness, of course we are going to forgive you, but we shall never forget the Gen Zs whom they want to forgive them, who lost their lives during the demonstration. That one must be noted, that we will forgive you, but we will never forget anything that had happened to the country.
Thank you so much. And you've talked about the issue of Gen Z. And today, again, I'm saying this. One of the things, or one of the issues that will always be a thorny in President William Ruto's administration is the issue of Gen Z. And the issue of Gen Z will always come in a very different way that you cannot imagine. And today, when the guest pastor was talking, or had his sermon, he talked about building the relationship. You know, talk about what about your family members that you are not with, what about your wife and all that. It was about building the relationship. And that one set the mood, especially for the conversation. And from his sermon, there are things that I really, really picked up from that. And maybe you can also share with me. One of the things that I picked is about the message. I think the preacher of the day was very, very prepared for the message of the day, and he knew what he was going to speak about. Yeah. Yeah. It talks about building relationship, as I said earlier. Something that also I picked, he talked about Gen Z frustrations. He gave an example of his family, painted a picture of his family like somebody who has Gen Z. Then he said something like, the only thing that Gen Z need, they need love. They need to be listened to. Which, when we talk about listening to the Gen Z, which I think that the administration has not done. Because remember, one of the issues that was complaints about the Gen Z was about the finance bill, which they did not listen. And again, some of the suggestion that they made was about to reduce the cabinet, you know, so that the government can function. But they did it opposite. If now you see, President has almost over 200 advisors in his office. There's so many appointments that have been made, you know, and all these are going into the wage bill. And some of these, so it tells you the word listening was not part of is not part of the president, and based on what is being said here. He also says something that the Gen Z are dying to be loved. Did we see the love during the Gen Z protest? Mm-hmm. And he said something here, another thing, that the Gen Z are smarter than us. Or the Gen Z, he was talking about his children, how his children are smarter than him. He talked about when he wants to go to the hospital, he will not go to the hospital, he will ask the son or the daughter. When he wants to invest, he will ask the son, yeah? Yep. And we have to learn that the Gen Z, his daughters are now adults. If they want, you give them that space, you know? Yeah. Yeah. And another thing that he said, that stand up and apologize for, and this is like telling the leadership that you need to apologize and for arresting and maybe abducting. These children were abducted. You need to apologize for them. So that's some of the things that I picked from the sermon. And immediately after that, the president has to come. The president came and apologized, and the president apologized to especially to the our neighboring countries. And when you look at, in the case of Uganda, Kizza Besigye was abducted in the country, but there was not much that was done, especially from the administration. Nobody knew. We just had Kizza Besigye was abducted, and now where those people are going through, especially the family of Kizza Besigye, do you think they can accept the apology? That is just only the question that I'm asking. Maybe
Okay,
Makubura, what do you think? Go ahead.
Okay. Miguda, you can finish. You can say what you wanted to say, then I pick up.
Okay, thank you for that, for the chance. I was saying that you've talked about relationship between the leaders and the Gen Z. And the pastor was very clear, because the pastors now decided to speak the truth. Most of the leaders have ignored the truth, and even the National Intelligence Service have failed to inform the president the actual thing on the ground. There's a disconnect between the people, not only Gen Z, but even the general public and the leaders, not only Mr. President, every leader in this country. There's that disconnect between the people and the leaders. The subjects and the leader and the masters are not in a good connection, the way people should be connected in terms of leadership. And when we talk about the issue of love, I think it is not about the romance in this case. It's a love whereby you have to incorporate the thoughts of the young people in your administration. The young people, once their thoughts have not been incorporated into the administration, they are feeling that people do not listen to them. Leaders don't listen to them. Their thoughts are not being incorporated. And the issue of digital technology, it is true, the Gen Z are smarter than the leaders and the elder people. That's a fact. This is a generation whereby they were born when technology was being introduced. The revolution of the technology is when they were being born. So they are part and parcel of the technology. And you cannot write them off in technology. We are smarter than them. And even, let me give you an example. Yesterday, I told you about I went to visit a certain Kisi guy. Actually, he had a road accident. So he was discharged. So I went to the home whereby we discussed about the DCP and other issues. But the patient, the phone was lost during the accident.
Yeah.
And when he arrived home, he never knew what to do. So a 13-year-old son asked him, Daddy, this is how I can retrieve for you information once you gave me your email address. So he was surprised that how comes a 13-year-old can retrieve all the information from his smartphone after he has given that young boy an email address. He was not aware. He never knew that the information are being stored in the email, but he was having that smartphone. So you understand that they can have those gadgets, but they don't know even how to operate them. They don't know even how to retrieve informations. But a 13-year-old boy knows it very well. So that one I can give them credit that Gen Z is a smart technology. And there is much, even to do the issues of the bank accounts, he was able to even advise the dad. Now you can confirm from your contacts, you can contact the manager, branch managers, that they can decide they can close those accounts. So he praised the young boy that when it comes to technology, he's a top notch. Lastly, apologies to me, I don't think this is the right time, because it has been overtaken by events. They can apologize, but it's too late. Already, the people have made their mind, and let us just wait for the events to unfold. But I have a problem. Why is it that they are apologizing for the Tanzanians nation, but we have a similar in Uganda? There was no apologies, and even when the Gen Zs were being slaughtered, there was no apologies. What is so special about Tanzania that they must apologize to that country, but leaving all this their nation? And we have said this thing here time without number. The people who should come first is your nation, your citizens, whether they are outside the country or in the country. You should always be like the American nation, whereby they protect their citizens even internationally. Even if today we tend to do anything to their citizens, they will even introduce sanctions into Kenya. But with us, we tend to love the people who are not our citizens more than our citizens. But we swore to protect our citizens, not American citizens, not Tanzanian citizens. So it should be a lesson to the people that once you are a leader, ensure that you protect and always advocate for the interests of the people who elected you, not the people who you are sharing international relations.
Okay, thank you so much. And when you talk of apologizing, one thing that usually happens about apology is that, first of all, you have to realize that there was a mistake that happened. There was an incident that happened. Yeah, that's when you can apologize. And at what point do you realize that there was apology, or we just only have to realize at the events that we have today? Apology is not bad. Yeah, because as I said earlier, that each and every one of us have their weaknesses. And they have that weakness part of them, that sometimes you can do mistake, without knowing, or even after doing it, you come and realize that, okay, I did this. But before you apologize, have you reached to the person that you wronged? Because I think apology, should it be two-way traffic or not? Maybe. Makubura, what do you think?
Okay, thank you. On the matter of what was happening, and of course, just like you've said about the topic was about forgiveness. Let me put it that way: forgiveness, or understanding the fact that you have to ask for apology, you have to say sorry, and that was more of what the theme was about.
Yeah.
Just like you said, the speaker who was from America. I wanted first to read this. Now that Migoda has talked about religion and what Christianity says,
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about that. I wanted to give a small verse. It is Matthew chapter 5, 23 to 24. Jesus teaches that if you are offering your gift at the altar, and remember that your brother has something against you, you should leave your gift there and first be reconciled with your brother before offering the gift. Of course, this verse highlights the importance of forgiveness and reconciliation as part of worship or having a good relationship with God. But I wanted to say something about it. Matters to do with forgiveness, asking for forgiveness, matters to do with reconciliation. There's always a root cause of that particular root cause of problems that made people to have issues. And I think if it was better or good for the people who are there, and especially the president and the leaders, that they wanted to ask for, reconcile with the people of Kenya and to ask for forgiveness, they needed to have looked at the root cause.
Yeah.
The root cause, of course, they needed to accept the fact that they did not come up with good laws that would then make the lives of the Kenyan people, better. They needed to accept the fact that the people came out and told them that these things were not good, the laws were not good, but they continued just because they knew they had the powers. And that, of course, led to the demonstration. They needed to accept the fact that the youths came out and tried fighting or reminding them that what you brought forth is not right. But some of them were killed, some of them were abducted. So they needed to look into it in that view. And they needed first to accept the fact that those who were killed on a wrong way, and they needed to apologize for the people of Kenya and specifically to the youth. They needed to apologize to the families, that their children, and especially to the whole group of Gen Zs and the young people, for the fact that they were abducted, of course, by the government. They needed to come out clear and accept the fact that the Gen Zs were not respected and their views were not incorporated in all the instances that the government needed to have incorporated their views. So I agree with the fact that when it comes to matters of forgiveness and reconciliation, you have to look at the root cause. And even the fact that the preacher talked about it, and then when Honorable Elachi came forth, she deviated and in one way or another spoke in a manner that contradicted the whole theme that was talking about reconciliation. Because from her speech coming out to say that, the Gen Zs, they're supposed to respect and that we are supposed to make laws, for example, to sort the issue of social media. You have to understand one thing, and truth be told, it is only social media, the only platform that the youths are currently using to speak their voice. And coming up, when people are talking about reconciliation, and part of the oppression that the people went through, of course, was closing the social media and the internet platform. That is one of the things that the young people need the leaders to come out and apologize for having done that, because it was wrong. Instead of them looking into that, they are coming into this prayer session and also telling the people, the young people, that we are going to do some amendments and make the laws tougher so that you don't come to the social media. So in one way or another, I can say it this way.
Yeah.
And Elachi is, in one way or another, is trying to make it simpler, to say that now that you guys went for the street and some of you are killed, some of you are abducted, because you are on the street, we stopped you by the police, and of course, while that abduction and the deaths were coming, that threatens the lives of the Gen Zs, and they went back. They started protesting on the social media. So now they're saying that we are going to curtail all the movements and all the protests, whether on social media or whether on the streets, and that is going against the rights of the people of Kenya. And I want to say it here categorically, without fear of contradiction. If they make that mistake of going to try to block the people of Kenya from accessing the social media and giving their views, then they should also expect for another demonstration, because that would still amount to going against the rights of the people of Kenya. More importantly, the freedom of expression, the freedom of movement, and the freedom of course, coming out to present your views and all those things that you think the government is not respecting.
Okay.
When the president so came, as much as he said that we ask for forgiveness, when someone is asking for forgiveness, I'm not judging the president or anything. Truth be told, we've had issues among us, humans to humans. This was a serious matter that, as a leader, remember the president carried the Bible and the Constitution and said that we are going to protect the lives of the people of Kenya, and even went ahead after carrying that Bible and said that in my government, issues to do with abductions, issues to do with killings, issues to do with going against the constitutional rights of every Kenyan is not going to happen. If truly we are Christian and we are doing this in the basis of our, on our religion, and respecting the fact that we are religious people and we really need good relationship with God.
Yeah.
I think it needed to come out first to feel the pain of what the young people went through, to feel the pain of what the parents of those who lost their children went through. He needed to come out and feel the pain of those people who were abducted, and up to date, they've not been reunited by their families. That way, we would have seen and said that truly the president talked about this, and it is something that he truly needs forgiveness from the people.
Okay.
That is my take.
Okay, thank you so much. And let me take this opportunity to welcome our friend Gibson Connor on the comment section. And our friend, we just want to remind you, today we are talking about the apologies that especially the leaders really ask the Kenyans, and forgiveness too, that being the theme, or the theme of the prayer breakfast today, national prayer breakfast. Makubura, you've spoken. When we want to talk about forgiveness, and we feel like, such like national prayers is something that has always been happening. We saw it even during the time of Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, and we can remember that day, if you remember it well. After then it happened, then there was that handshake. Then the Kalonzo Musyoka, the Right Honorable Prime Minister Raila Odinga, and even President William Ruto, he was deputy then, and they came and asked for forgiveness. I can remember vividly well when Kalonzo said that the things they said during the campaign, it was a time to get that forgiveness and move on. We accepted that. And even today, when we are coming to forgive ourselves, sometimes is very good to come and forgive and have that acceptance and say that, oh, you know what, there's some of the things that we did that were not good. Especially, I can refer maybe to concentrate on Beatrice Elachi. There are things that I really picked from her prayers. She talking blame and removing themselves. One of the things that she says that we compromise ourselves. She talks about compromising of themselves, that as leaders, that is something that she spoke about. Another thing she talks about, unable to stand with courage, and we have left our country to young people in hopelessness, talking about that. We have corrupt ourselves and lust of materialistics. At the same times when he was speaking about that, she prayed among other things and telling us what they've done as leaders. So for them, she coming out, at least she was talking of something that most of the things that she was praying about, this is something that the people have called about. And Father, I can quote in her prayers. This is what she said: Father, we pray for this social media that has decided to run our country. We want to confess as legislators that indeed we must sort out the sector. We shall have courage to stand and believe in what is good for our country. Or Father, forgive us. So my issue is, you want to pray for social media and you ask yourself, what has social media done? Because when you go to the social media has just told you what you've been doing, which is not right. Yeah. Remember, if a member of parliament say that people die and we see and move on, yeah, we saw what happened with the documentary. What happened in the documentary. From there, we've not seen even action being taken in the documentary for those who are featured. We've not seen about that. So is the problem social media? Where is the problem? Just to ask, is the social media problem? Yeah? Or the leadership, or them themselves as leaders? Even if you bring a legislation to curb the social media, yet the way you govern, the way you carry out yourself, the way you don't have conversation with the people, because the frustration that people are showing you on the social media is that, like, there's that disconnect. Why can't you first of all fix the disconnect between you, the leaders, and the people that you lead, and ask them, have that communication and say that, okay, this is how we are going to work? Because if you fix the social media, or with all you think, like praying for that social media, yeah, and you don't fix the respect or the connection between you and the people that you're leading, is that one going to solve the issue, Mr. Miguda?
I don't believe that the problem is the social media. And me, I don't have any problem with any leader in this country.
Yeah.
But the reason why some leaders can come out and try to pray for social media, why must you pray for social media? That is a digital technology. You can't do anything about it. I still believe that the problem we have is not the social media, but because if we do away with the issue of social media, and we decide that Kenya, we don't have any social media, but are we done with the corruption? Are we done with the unemployment? Are we done with the medication? Are we done with the education? So I believe that the problem generally is the corruption in this country. The problem is the poor health facilities. The problem is unemployment. The problem is the education system. We are trying to introduce the children of this country. The problem is misappropriation of the resources. The problem is exclusion of the people who are having capacity to serve in the government. The problem is not social media. And if that is the case, then they let them do with the social media. But even if you do with the social media, I don't believe that you are going to sort out the issues at stake. If dealing with social media is going to do away those issues I've stated, then so be it. We are ready to pay that price. But I can just tell you, just like what Marco have said, I just want to reiterate. If anybody, I want to say anybody, including Mr. President, tries to touch the social media, it's going to explode. That's a surety. That is not incitement. You know, when I say like that, they say that is not incitement. That's just I've said what people are saying. You cannot touch social media because even through social media, some of us, we have managed to make our self-employment because we have refused to employ the young people. We have managed to get money from the social media. Then you cannot come and compromise our income. The moment you want to touch our income, which is not coming from the government, we are going to deal with you. We are not going to have any mercy with you as the young people. So I just believe that let us be friendly. The way you cannot bring someone to pray for us. You talked about God, talk about forgiveness, then you want to touch social media. Then you are not honest, you are not genuine. And the moment you are not honest, you are not genuine, then some of these people think that if someone is young, that person is stupid. Or if someone is poor, is stupid. The fact that someone is poor or young doesn't make his brain to be stupid or his brain to be poor. You can be young, but you understand things. You understand economics, you understand the culture of your people, you understand the social setup, you understand rights that are based on social. Therefore, and you are also affected as a young person because people like Marco Bura used to pay NIF. Me, I've never paid those things. So I let me. Marco Bura used to pay NIF, and actually Marco Bura was also registered in the SHA. So Marco Bura understands those problems at personal level. He's being affected when you want to seek medication. He's being affected when you want to seek for employment. He's being affected when you want to sort out issues to do with other things which are basic when it comes to social and economic rights. So when we raise, is even being affected when it comes to the issue of house, the rentals. So when we raise these issues, you don't need to bring young people down because they have raised their concerns, they have brought up the grievances to the authority. Don't silence them. Allow them to express their views. And that's why I wanted to tell you that even if you talk about the issue of forgiveness, we, the young people, we are feeling that even the preacher told them that these people have not been understood. We are feeling that we have been misrepresented. There's no representation of the young people's thought into the administration. Therefore, when we come out to advocate lawfully through the means of the Constitution, peacefully and armed, demonstrating, picketing, and depositing our grievances to the authority, doesn't mean that we want to ban the country, doesn't mean that we want to take the leadership. And we have said very clearly, we are not even interested in taking up the leadership. We just want the things to be done in accordance with the rules of law and also equality of each and every person. It doesn't matter where you're coming from, your age, your race, your religion. Provided we are getting that meritocracy, we have no issues in the country. You can even be a permanent president, but provided that you provide services to the people, we don't care who the president is. So if you want to bring those debates like we want to shut down social media, I can just promise them that if you try to touch social media, what I know from the young people is that there will be violence.
Okay.
People will not have peace in this country.
Okay, thank you so much. And we have to also to interrogate ourselves as a country, or you have to interrogate ourselves as leaders and the people that are living in this country, that what is that which is ailing us as a country? Where are we not getting it right? And how can we fix it? You know, we believe, you know, for instance, prayers do work. Because at a point whereby somebody goes for prayer and even to ask for forgiveness and apology, I don't think like they are the first, especially to ask for forgiveness. There are so many illustrations in the Bible. I know the two of you are going to the Bible, reading the Bible. Especially when you look at, I usually like to give example with David, because the Bible tells us that David was one of the loved servants of God. He was the one that is loved. But when you take a typical scenario, especially on how forgiveness works, I don't know whether Miguda, you're the person who talked about it. There's two scenarios, two incidences in the Bible that especially that contains women. There's the story of Abigail. I don't know who was the husband. Who was the other one? Abigail. Is it Laban or who? I'm not very sure. Remember Abigail, the big name like Esther, Naomi, those women in the Bible, you know. And even when you look at David himself, immediately when the case of Uriah, and with the Bathsheba, you know the story of David with Bathsheba, you know, when he was told that he did that, you know, he accepted. You know, first of all, you have to accept that acceptance. You know, when even the people were told to bring food for the soldiers, when who was the husband of Abigail? Who could help us on the comment section? I don't know. Do you know the husband of Abigail? Is it Laban or who? I'm not very sure. You know, and she took it upon herself when now the people are very hungry. She apologized on the behalf of the husband because she knew what the husband has done. Alikuwa mlafi ama unasema kwamba he was very greedy, but the wife came and
the husband of Abigail was a man called Nabal.
Nabal, yes, the story of Nabal. And what did he do?
Okay.
Yeah. It was about bringing some food stuff to the soldiers who are on the field, if I'm not wrong. And this is what our good friend said, that the apology should be practical because words are cheap. Why now? I fell for the godly words. I will not judge. I'm giving it a week. Has he confessed forgiving himself before public apology? Those are some of the things, even the leaders themselves, and apology is not cheap. It's not a cheap thing, you know. It's very big. So we have to look at it from today onwards. How are we going to deal with it, you know? And even come to there's so many things that have really happened, you know, in as we were going to the prayers. Did we accept them? You know, even the political class, you know, because this was a very special, and the country right now is divided. Yeah. What did they invite the former deputy president Rigathi Gachagua to come and let's come and reason together as a country. President talked about broad-based government that has brought in people together. You know, the spirit of broad-based. Not even once, even yesterday, he quoted the Bible from the book of Psalms about people coming together as working. It's okay. But as we work together, is everybody on board? Let's say that questions that people are asking, the cost of living that people are asking, have they gone down? Some of the issues that you yourself, as a president, you promised that you're not going to do. Right now, we are seeing the issue called the empowerment, whereby the money that is not budgeted for, especially deputy president, is supporting talent. That money is not budgeted for. And why are you doing it in a particular area? That is one. We are seeing the issue of fundraising that president himself said that going forward, we are not going to do fundraising, you know. So those are kind of like in how we are coming. We are reconciling. When we are saying we are reconciling ourselves and asking apology. I wanted to give my opinion. Go ahead.
On what you asked me, Goda, on the matter of social media. You know, this the leaders coming out to criticize the social media. I want to give you some examples of how social media has helped so many people. You know, through social media. I don't know whether you know this lady called Demo Facebook.
Yes, I know her.
You know, this is a lady, if you hear her story, she came from a very poor background, and, you know, she had a talent. And through social media, she's today earning something that can help her and her family. She even built her parents a big house. If we talk about social media, it is through this social media platform that Sisi Kwa Sisi team, assisted by this gentleman called Eric Omondi, who is known by almost everyone. You know, part of the stories that Sisi Kwa Sisi team has assisted, you know, it is majority of those people are in dire poverty that, you know, you see them, you can even cry. The other day you saw the woman who had taken the children to school, and she didn't have the money. The only thing that she had was some chicken. And what does that tell you? It is through the power of social media that this woman, yesterday I was trying to follow that, and I realized that the people of Kenya, by giving 110 bob, 20 bob, they had collected up to 800,000, and they settled part of the school fee and part of the money she was given to start a business. That woman, what does that tell you? That is the power of social media. Again, the level of there's a very high level of literacy in the Republic of Kenya. People are learned, but they do not have the opportunity. People are depressed. People are depressed in a level that if you sit down and then you start asking yourself, why did I even go to school now that I cannot even get a job that can pay me even 10,000? You start asking yourself, when you try compare yourself, for example, because we are human beings, sometimes you do compare yourself. You ask yourself, why was I even born in this family? Why was why must I go through all these things? While someone who is my age mate, for example, the son of the president there, is hovering around with G-Wagons and changing them every day. It is not wrong. We are human beings. We can't think in that direction. But, it is only social media that when young people are depressed, they go there. And then, for example, the issue that is going on currently in Kenya and Tanzania, that is not a mockery thing. That is just a creativity. There's high level of creativity in the Republic of Kenya. And, these people have no platform to share it. So if something comes, they try to make it, they try to make it appear or look like something that can make sense depending on the circumstances and things which are happening at that particular time. And that is not a crime to me, because if you want to close the social media, where do you want these people that it is that Facebook, it is that TikTok that they try to bring up their stories, they try to create some content, and they can get something that they can survive on. If you close it, where are they going to get it? Well, they are members of parliament, they've got their kids, they've got money, they've started business. It is the power of social media can tell you. If the government touches social media, can tell you it is not going to be easy. It is going to be a serious thing in the Republic of Kenya.
Makobura, something that we on a fair ground, and we are not criticizing president apologizing, or even talking apologies, but we are talking about are we going to see changes based on what has happened? Because as I said earlier, about even in Kiswahili tunasema kwamba sisi ni kiumbe dhaifu na kila mtu ako na mapungufu. Hata rais mwenyewe ako na pungufu yake, si tuwezi sema kwamba yeye hana mapungufu kwa sababu yeye binadamu yeye. Unaona? Lakini tuseme kwamba kuna let's say that there are issues that we can solve in this country, but I don't think by doing the bill, especially for social media. And the reason why we concentrating on the social media, to me, I would say that Beatrice, the MP for Dagoretti, Beatrice Elachi, she prayed well. She prayed some of the things that how they've been corrupt and how materialistic we've become as a country, or as the leaders have become as a country, and talking about how we've left the young people, how we are corrupt, how corrupt leadership is. That is according to her prayers. But my issue is, she is bringing in praying for social media at the time whereby the bill, the private bill that was being introduced by the member for Aldai, Kitang. Yeah. And the main purpose of that, if you listen to analysts, or if you weigh the analyst views, they feel like this is one is for surveillance, two is to silence the people who are using social media. And where sometimes we have always gone wrong as a country, most of the time we tend to introduce laws that benefit us for a period of some time, then in the long run they come back and hit us. I can remember when Maraga gave the ruling, especially on election purposes, there was a bill that was brought, the security bill, you remember, that was brought immediately by I think it was by the Jubilee, because they had many members of parliament, so that bill could be put in parliament, you know. But what happened was the bill later came and bite the Tangatanga wing. You know, even if you look at the process of our constitution, sometimes they do it bearing in mind, like you know that you're assured that you're going to be the person that is going to benefit from that bill. Then what happens? It backfires. Remember when the fuel levy bill was brought, especially when it was brought to 16%, which was supported by then the Building Bridges initiative was taking place. But now when President Ruto came to power, they were asking President Ruto again, no, you need to change that. And remember, those who put that there, who were they? They were the same leaders. So sometimes we do things that we feel are going to favor us at the moment, but not knowing that it is not, they don't do it for prosperity. They do it for the moment. That is what I can say. Thank you so much, Gitonga, for joining us in the conversation. Makubura, what do you say?
What I can say is that I think the leaders that we have, they are not really solving the problems that we have as a people, because they are not giving it. They are serious things. They are problems that the people of Kenya are going through. There are things that they need to take their time to handle to ensure that they get us out of the hole that we are in.
Yeah.
It is so unfortunate that they are taking, they're taking their major times, or the better part of their times, to dwell into issues which are do I say non-existent? So things which are not really going to help the people of Kenya.
Mm-hmm.
Let the social media platform be free. Let them not come up with issues to do with regulation of the movements and the freedoms and the rights of the people of Kenya.
Mm-hmm.
If they want to do that, let them first ensure that they've sorted the issue of unemployment among the youths. Let them ensure that the young people are going through depression and so many things. I can tell you, but even the hospitals that we have, when people go through depression, they cannot handle that big number of people that are currently, they have gone through all the levels of education, they have what it takes, and they need to be having employment. But then you find that they are not in any way getting any job opportunities. And so where are you, how are you going to handle this massive number of people?
Yeah.
Especially the youths who are learned, they have everything, they do not have the opportunity, and they are at home, and time is going. They need to marry, they need to feed their children, they need to consistently do their basic things, and they do not have all that capability to do it. So it is upon the government to focus on serious things which can help the people of Kenya in one or in several ways, to ensure that the issues, the pertinent issues that the people of Kenya are going through, the pertinent issues which are touching onto their basic lives, their way of life, are first sorted. And then when all those things are sorted, then they can come up with and say that we want to close social media because, for example, hatutaki lazy people. Sometimes back they used to say that only lazy people ndio wako kwa social media. And partly, when I was growing up, I remember I was being told that only if you are lazy, you'll be in social media. And we used to be. I remember they were asking, what are you doing in social media? What are you benefiting? It is not like those days. We have to accept that, because it is today that in these social media platforms, you get to understand, you get to learn about everything about the whole world. And that is why you find that the level of exposure, as much as you find a youth is living in the rural or living in a rural town, they have the basic knowledge of what is happening in other countries. They have basic knowledge of the kind of lifestyle that is in another country. They know about the climate. They know about everything that is happening in those particular areas. And that's give that's a confirmation, of course, of what the preacher of today was speaking about. I like the fact that he acknowledges the fact that this is a different generation. This is a generation that has everything on the fingertip. With the internet and their gadgets, they can access everything. Personally, me, I'm not even in the field of medical and whatever, but there are so many things I can tell you here. Sometimes when I feel sick or I feel disturbed, I just go to internet and then I find solution. I've gotten so many solutions which have helped me personally. And part of those things are being talked about in social media. So if you want to close these platforms, if you want to regulate, if you want to access and get to know that who is this person doing in social media, who is he speaking to?
Yeah.
Maybe to tell you again, there is a good number of people, Kenyan people, who have also gotten wives and husbands from other regions. And part of that, those husbands and wives have also assisted them in one way or another. The other day, you saw a gentleman was it in TV or KTN, and he found a wife in TikTok, and not just that, people have found wives from America, from UK, from Crex. Is it Crex or Crex Republic? And that is, if you are learned, you have everything, and then you get to social media, you start telling people, you start engaging with people in that internet. You find that, for example, someone is on another continent, they see that your reasoning is too high, they ask you if you are learned, and then they ask you, what do? You tell them you are doing nothing with all that knowledge. They start wondering whether you guys are in another planet, or where are you? So these are real stories.
Yeah.
Let us respect social media, and let us give the youth an environment to speak about the issues.
Something that also is quite much critical, Makobura, is that when you want to put it into context, because you are praying for social media because you feel like social media is the one that is dropping your country or is making your country not to thrive, especially for the young people. But then you ask yourself, what has the social media? How is social media contributing, especially to problem such as poor healthcare, payment of workers, struggling with the economy. Economy is not doing good. How is that social media doing to that? How is social media doing, working with issues to do with education? Because just remember the other day when disbursement of capitation were given to school, some school ended up getting 87 shillings. That was a school in Kisumu. Some ended up getting 3,000. Some ended up getting 4,000. So how is social media connected to that? So many issues that we are asking. So I think social media fix the system. Yeah. Bring legislation that is, how is social media connected to stopping a day that is meant to discuss business of the day of the country, but you bring in to discuss the character of Rigathi Gachagua, and even to the an extent whereby the majority leader calling him a monster. Who is going to help us to deal with this monster? How is the social media, how is the social media going to deal with the issues of abduction? Because right now we are there's a follow-up on the abduction of the member of parliament, where even the police is now saying, okay, now he might have stage managed from now the press they are giving, he might have stage managed that. So how are we going to deal if it is true that he stage managed his abduction? How is social media connected to that? That is what now we have to ask. How is social media connected to disbursement of the money at the counties? Work on those systems. Yeah. Forget about the social. I don't think that social media is the biggest issue that right now Kenya is facing. Now, I think we have so much that Kenya is facing that we should even pray over. We should pray over on how we as a country, we can get good legislation, whereby the legislation should follow the right procedure. So those are the questions that maybe if Elachi would ask, we would ask the member of parliament, like, how is social media connected to making economy work? So those are some of the questions that we might be asking the good member of parliament.
Maybe to say something, there's a comment here from a good friend, Gypsy Corner. saying that I should not Google illness. I want to tell him if I want to share a story here of one thing. One day, I went to see a friend of mine, and then while I was there, I found that he's a messenger, the person who assists them in doing circulating their messages to other to that some companies that they partner with. So this gentleman was sick, and he asked me to take him to the nearby hospital, and so I took this gentleman to one of these hospitals we have. It's called Afia Equity, in Westlands. So when I took this gentleman to Afia Equity, he was sick, but while we were going, he told me that, you know what, I really didn't want to go to this hospital because I know these people are going to take a lot of money. I'm quite sure, I think I have something like malaria, and for malaria I'll need only 150. So if you can give me that money, 150, I just go take the medicine, and then I know I'll survive. He also told me that he had even Googled, as much as he knows he has malaria, he had even Googled and is quite sure he has malaria. But since his boss insisted that I take him to Equity Afia, I took him there. When I took him there, they gave him some injection, and then they wakamwongeza maji, and then now when we had finished, now they gave me the receipt. You know, the sheet was 6,800. And then asked them, kwani what did you give this gentleman? They told me, oh, sijui wamempea maji, sijui wamempea nini. And then at first they gave me less with 1,000. And so me, I thought they had given me, you know, they wanted a lot of money. And then when I went to inquire, they told me, oh, they even forgot to put the doctor's consultation. And so the price increased with 1,000. Now the gentleman was still not around. He was still on in another room. So when he came and he realized that I wanted to pay around 6,000, you know, instead of, he was seriously sick. You know, the guy started crying and telling me that, like, you know, that's a lot of money. Why do they want that money? Kwani wamenifanyia nini? Hiyo pesa ingenisaidia kufanya so many things. I told you, nilikwambia, you know, nilikwambia niko na malaria. I think niko na malaria. But I told him, no, it's the boss who told me to take you to the hospital. So I can tell you these are true things. And I want to tell you that in Kenya, people have gotten to a point where there are so many people who are not, of course, we are not, personally, I'm not advocating for that people should, if, for example, they are sick, they should Google. But the reality on the ground is making the majority of people do not even have this money for consultation, for all those things. They just go there so long as they understand themselves and something that directs them that this might be it. They just go and buy the medicine. And so reality, it is happening. So part of the reason why people are doing this is because watu wamefika point yenye like things are not working, and it is a fact, things are not working. But they have to, you know, you have to survive. You are sick, you have to, dawa yote hata kama ni Panadol. There's this book that we read in high school. What was the name in Kiswahili? Inaitwa aje? Somebody, what was this book? I'm forgetting it. And this book, I'm forgetting the name. In that book, it was, of course, talking about a society, a rotten society. And this rotten society, people had gone to the hospital, and one of the characters there was a nurse, and this nurse really cared for the people. But at that particular time, the government of that society had not released money, and so there were no drugs in the hospital. And so there's a gentleman who had gone to the hospital seriously sick, and I remember the nurse saying that one of the nurse telling this concerned nurse that let us just close the hospital and tell this the patients that, you know what, we do not have the capacity to handle the sicknesses, and so let us close so that they don't come. But then this nurse that cared was telling this other one that, you know, let us just open the hospital so that if they come, even if we do not have the drugs, just as seeing the patient itawapea matumaini, na you know, hiyo matumaini hata inaweza fanya mtu apate, it can make someone get out of, you know, those the difficult things that they are facing. And so that was something that is very educative.
Yeah.
I don't know if you got my analogy.
But like, you know,
Right.
sometimes we have to agree with, I don't know, there's something wrong with my camera. Something is wrong. I don't know, it's freezing. I need to check it.
Yeah, the book was Mstahiki Meya. I was forgetting. So kuna diwani mmoja hapo ambaye alikuwa anaambia wenzake that as much as we do not have the dawa, hatuna dawa, hatuwezi funga, wacha tu let the patients come, some of them even if we see them, na tuwapee tu maji, hiyo ni matumaini, na kuna wengine hata watapona tu kwa vile tumewaona na tumewashughulikia. So that is the point where the people of Kenya are at this particular time, because they have done their part in terms of education. They've done their part in terms of waking up very, very early to do their usual things that they're supposed to do in assisting the country. But you find that they are not getting the same support or the same respect from the leaders that we have.
Okay, thank you so much, Makobura. You know, Google sometimes is very difficult, because there was a time we did a documentary, and if you can look it, we did it in Kisumu, especially on the children who are living in the spectrum, autism spectrum. And it was so sad, especially for a mother, especially to see or to have like some red flag on your kid, and you don't know where to start, especially when it comes to autism. You know, autism is one of those that especially it deals with mental cases, you know, and it deals with the mental health. So when we were having those conversations, and the mother said that, you know, it took her time to realize that, oh, my child is in the spectrum. And even what was frustrating for her, especially, was when they go to the public, like you will see the child, you know, they throw tantrums sometimes, you know. So, and she said something that, okay, I had to go to the Google to look at based on the signs that I'm seeing from my kid. Then from there, that is when the mother came to learn of something called autism. Then that he came to realize, oh, my child might be in the autism. So even to access some of the services, especially for the child in the spectrum, it's not very easy, because you find when you are in autism spectrum, what usually happens is that you have to get diagnosis. And when you get the diagnosis, and how are you going to deal? Because now this is somebody that is in the spectrum, and you know, like the majority of kids who are in autism spectrum, they have the high IQ. Their IQ is is so high. They are so much brighter than us. You know, they can let's say, like, they can, if those who are talented in kinds of like having sketches to draw, they can see a building, then come back home, and they draw it exactly the way they saw it. So and that's why I'm still reminding or pleading with the Dagoretti member of parliament, that forget about praying for social media. There are so many things that you need to pray over and over and over. There's so many things, especially when you come to, especially that we are talking about education and the capitation. We do not have, especially when it comes to the special kids. you know, the people, the children, our brothers and sisters who are in the spectrum, especially when you come to Kisumu. The only place that you can take them is the Joyland. But the Joyland, when you're talking about somebody in the spectrum, the spectrum is so much divided that those who autism who do not have they're not so much in the behavior, yeah, they have that OCD, you know, and how are you going to assist them grow? So when you come even to education sector, you know, we still have a long way to go. And if I see that the member of parliament is so much focused on the social media, you know, even in the education sector, Makobura, we still have these our kids who are in the spectrum. I've never seen the government talking about the special needs, children with special needs, like talking about them. No, I've not. And I've not seen members of parliament talking about our students with special needs. So I think we still have a long way to go, my brother.
Yeah, I agree with you, and we have to accept the fact that as a country, there's some problems that that are being created by the leaders that we have. That's a fact. Because if you ask me, I think the people of Kenya are doing their part, and that's the truth of the matter. Kenyans are the most hardworking people, and Kenyans are the most empathetic. Kenyans are the most loving. Kenyans, as much as they will come out to criticize you, when they see their fellow suffering in one way or another, we've seen quite a number of them coming out to assist in matters of hospital bills, in matters of educating fellow Kenyans. You know, more of those people that you've seen, especially during when schools are being opened and students are going back to school. We've seen instances where children are sent home. Some of them cannot even access, admission. And more of the people that have come out to assist, without knowing you are a Kikuyu, you are a Kamba, whichever tribe you are coming from, we've seen the people of Kenya contribute. Not that because they have money, the little that they contribute, whether it is 10 bob, whether it is 20 bob, we've seen children go to school. We've seen people, find peace in their homes. We've seen people, recognize the fact that Kenya, we are united. That's a fact. And we are the most loving and caring people in the continent. I don't think whatever is happening in Kenya in terms of sympathy and assisting one another is happening in other countries. Because, for example, I can mention a number of people. The likes of Sonko have come out to really assist quite a number of people. I saw the last time there was these two children that he adopted.
No, maybe Makobura, don't even talk of Sonko. No, forget about Sonko. I can give you a perfect example. A perfect example is the one for Pastor Dan Wema. I don't know whether you look at you follow that guy.
I do see. I do see. We really have so many Kenyans who have come out of their way to assist without knowing whether those people are from which region, and that is the nature of people of Kenya. We have to accept that, but we have few elements who have gotten into power and they are really misusing power, and then the people who are ensuring that the problems they create problems and then they don't want to solve. They create problems in this sense. They get into corrupt dealings. It is so unfortunate. I was even going through what Morara has been posting of late. And as much as Morara, there's quite a number of people who have problems with him. But truth be told, at some extent, we have to accept that he's doing a good work. And that's a fact. I saw him, of late I've been seeing him talking about some roads. And if you look at the state of those roads, very pathetic. And money was given by the government of Kenya, by the World Bank, and there's nothing which happened in those particular roads. And it is so unfortunate that part of those people in leadership, that road that he was talking about was in Kangundo, and it is in Machakos. It was done during the reign of Governor Mutua. And 1.2 billion was given. Part of it came from the World Bank, part of it from the county, from the government of Kenya. It was not done. And where is this gentleman Mutua? He's now a cabinet secretary in the government of William Samoei Ruto. So they create problems, and then they call each other. They continue climbing into stairs and managing the issues, and they're becoming billionaires. The other day when you saw they were being vetted, wanasema wao ni billionaire. What is the need of a billionaire in a society where? What is the need of becoming a billionaire in a society where millions of people are suffering? These people are thinking. They are not thinking in this manner. Because if you have billions, yes, me here I have nothing, and I also have to survive.
Wewe hukufanya kazi kwa bidii.
Gone to school, the same schools that they went. You can even find that sometimes my IQ and my thinking is even better than theirs. It is only they got the opportunity to steal and then they stole. I want to tell you, it is not going to be easy for them. Staying in a society where you are a billionaire and your your neighbors are people with no money. People with no money, they will come to you and they own nothing. Remember, if you are a billionaire, you will own cars. You will be having cars. These people will go for these cars. And so they are creating a society where you'll not be at ease or at peace, to enjoy your wealth. Because
so Marco Buddha, let me okay, finish. Then I will ask you.
I've just finished.
Okay, now. Okay, thank you for that. And now let's also come back to us as those who are using the social media. Is there a way also us we should change on how we use our social media, or with us we are okay? So what the leaders are saying are wrong to us. At sometimes, do we come to the conclusion? Yeah.
I partly, of course, I accept the fact that there's some part of things which are happening on social media which are not good. They're not good in this sense, but no, I want to withdraw. I don't think there's anything wrong with social media, because part of what is happening in social media, for example, I want to give you typical examples. You are Brother Benson. Of course, we might find some of your photos in social media, and then I get your photo, and then I take it to AI, and then I tell AI, can you do for me this? And then AI brings me a photo that that is funny. Why do you want to feel offended? Why do you want to feel that there's nothing wrong with that? It is just that I'm creative and I'm learned, and I went to school, and now out of what I learned, I'm trying to express. I'm trying to to show my level of knowledge on what I've learned in the technology that is coming up. And these are things that we need to, as technology, technology comes each and every day. There are new things which comes with technology, and we have to embrace. Part of embracing is trying. Part of embracing is, participating. And there's nothing wrong with that. It is just like this.
Oh, okay. I agree with you. I agree, but when you look at the society, and especially everyone, on how we use our social media, does it mean that maybe there's some element of truth that maybe leaders are pointing out that we need to change, or the leaders are just talking?
If you are a student of literature, in literature, when you're a student of literature, you can communicate using several means. You can communicate via verbal, non-verbal. You can draw things. You can, whichever way. You can speak in signs. Those are all ways of communication. And part of communication. If you communicate again, whether in signs, it can mean so many things. There's some communication that you make that tells that makes the people around you get to understand that what this person is speaking about this particular thing. Let me give you a typical example. You remember sometimes back, I don't know whether, I think it was Citizen, there was this thing called XYZ.
Yeah,
it was during the reign of Kibaki, not wrong, and they would animate some cartoons and make them they would animate and make some cartoons, and they would say that is the time I started knowing Kibaki, and they will make Kibaki in a funny way. And so at some point, because I remember, politics has really taught me so many things. Again, in literature, I remember there's a good some songs that were referring to some politicians with, as you know, they were giving this analogy using some animals, and they would relate those animals to a specific leader, and not in an offensive manner, but just to give a clear character or behavior of certain things. When we were growing up, sometimes you'd be told that, you know what, I like the energy that you have. You have an energy that can be compared to the buffaloes, and that was not anything wrong. Sometimes people would be called a buffalo, you know, and actually, it's so unfortunate that we are forgetting those things. We used to really associate ourselves with that. I remember growing up and people were called buffalo. And so I would ask myself, is this the buffalo that I read and I saw in the book? Why is he called the buffalo? And then I would be told that he used to have this energy and it was this fierce, you know. And that's how people learn. That's how people get to know about the animals. That's how people get to know about their environment. What is happening in social media is not abusive. It is an expression of talent. It is an expression
I agree with you.
Of a brain that has gotten exposed and gotten learned. I mean, that has learned so many things, and now they want to just express what they have learned.
It is okay. But my question to you is, when even we are expressing them in a literature view or a literature context, is there a way, when you look back at the society on how we use our social media, especially on how we interact with the people that are in leadership, like let's say that we're interacting with the president, or either we are interacting with MP, member of parliament, you know, and we have to agree for a fact that at some point, you know, because what they are pointing out, you know, do you agree with me that at some point there's the users of internet, sometimes
we misuse the social media or internet,
especially for example,
I think I get your take, but I'm not going to fully just accept that we misuse social media. I'm going to give reasons why I think that we are still at a point where we are not going to agree that we misuse it.
Why?
Because this is the reason why. For example, I can give you an example of the comments of Honorable Beatrice Elachi. Or, for example, there has been issues that the president, our beloved President William Samoei Ruto, is being, you know, there are so many pictures and so many things which are being made on social media and shared, which are not respectful. I want to say that first, I don't know whether you used to see there's this name that he was given about Kasongo. And Kasongo, what is the name of that animal that is associated with the Kasongo? Inaitwaje?
You know when you look at the history,
I'm coming to that. I'm coming. I just want to give you a reason why I still feel we are not supposed to get to that point of saying that we are misusing social media. I think these all things, the people of Kenya has been very respectful. I remember this thing started just the other day. Yes, Watog. I hear learned people call it Watog. I don't know Watog or what. I can't pronounce it. Jipsaikona utani samehe, because I do not know how to pronounce that name. This name here, is it Watog or whichever? I don't know. Yeah. So, you know, the issue of AI photos and all these things started when the young people came out and they gave quite a number of things that they felt that the government was not doing. And in that period, you know, they started
Makobura, let me before you go, let us not restrict the use of social media to only to the government. We want to look at the entire society. Let us not restrict it to government, because social media is not only meant to criticize or to talk with the government, but we are coming on our real life situation. Then we are asking ourselves, as much as the leaders are pointing out, like, okay, this social media, there's a way in which it's destroying our country. At some point, do we have to agree with them and look at it entirety? and say that let us look at social media, whether we are criticizing the government, but we are looking it on how we use it as a people, our usage on how we consume it. That is what we want to look at. Let us not just put it like it's not for the government, no. Or we are criticizing
social media is giving a pure description of the society without coating, without without clothing it. That is how I can put it. And we have to accept the fact that a society where we are now, if you deny me an information, I can get it. Just like as much as we are protecting our children from getting filthy images and all those things from the social media, we are doing that because we want to protect them from getting used to such kind of things before they get to an age where they can make their own decisions, of which it is a good thing. But I fully understand that social media platforms are all meant for 18 and above in the Republic of Kenya. And I'm quite sure that when you are creating accounts using these things, these platforms, you have to be 18 and above.
Yeah.
And there are procedures of signing in. There are things that you have to confirm before you are let in. Unless otherwise.
So
but if someone is 18 and above, I fully understand that the Constitution, gives them a recognition of being adults. And once someone becomes an adult, I think once they want any information, they can get it in whichever platform. So social media, allow me to just give this final remarks. My understanding is that while we are on social media platforms, I'm quite sure that we are all adults, and those platforms are meant for adults in the Republic of Kenya. And if it is a matter of, for example, me as a Kenyan, I feel that I'm offended with a specific person, and I want to communicate in whichever way that I communicate it. I think within the adulthood, it is something that is respectful, and people should be able to understand my view of thinking. So
okay, go ahead.
I accept it needs to be regulated, and children or people below the age are not supposed to get into social media platforms. But again, if we had leaders, or if we have fellow Kenyans or fellow human beings who are not going against the rights of others, fellow human beings who are not encroaching and not listening to others, then people would not be making funny images to share to communicate to them. So social media is just a way of communicating, and all these things that we are seeing, they are a way of showing frustration and all these things. So that, for example, what is happening today with the Gen Zs, some of them are coming out to use the images, AI images, for example, to share some things that they think that if you see this, it is going to take your attention, and you're going to look into the issues that they're raising. I think that is part of communication that they're trying to put. And if we had people who are listening to them, I don't think anyone would come out to do such a thing. For example, I can give you a clear example. We've seen very bad photos of AI, for example, the president, but we've not seen any bad photos, for example, of Raila. We've not seen any bad photos, for example, of politicians that the people of Kenya see, for example, Babu Owino. These politicians that they think that are supporting them in one way or another. So I think you are getting my way of thinking. It is.
I'm getting it, Makobura, but like the only Gibson Corner. Let me take this opportunity to thank you. I'll make sure that that one is done for our good friends. I'm just I think like there's a problem with my camera. Then I need to check something, or there's a problem with the studio because it keeps on freezing. I was looking at a society where we are, and I was trying to give it a picture where we are not only looking at the the social media and look at how we've used the social media. There are times when, for example, and I'm not saying, for example, maybe a typical example where sometimes I do ask the question, maybe I've lost somebody who is very dear to me. Yeah. You know, remember? So in the process of mourning, you find that somebody gets, I don't know how you get the camera whereby you mourn at the same time somebody captures you, and all other things that you've done, the only thing you want to capture is where you are mourning or something you've lost. We've seen cases whereby somebody goes to the funeral home, or especially we call them mortuaries, and somebody just take a picture of a relative who passed on, you know, and just to go there and nika it on the social media. And that's where, like, I was coming and looking at like in such like scenarios, how can we consume it, or how can we use it in a way that now especially like some of those, because there's yeah, so those are like, because like let us not kind of like confine it and say that, okay, we also like the social media is only to criticize the leaders or to confront the leaders, but we have also, as a society, we have to look at ourselves and say that how are we going to use it in a way that dignifies even you as a person, or dignifies the things that we do. Does it does it give you that as a person, or me as a Makobura, the way we are here with you? Let's say that sometimes we meet at a funeral, we go to check on somebody who might be our relative, but the best thing we do, we could take a photo, and we know that we are people who are we have information, and we are at least blessed to have we are in the intelligent class. We call it the intelligentsia. You know, these are people who have intelligence, but we still use it that way. That is one way. And another way is, you know, especially when you come to the issue of technology, especially in Kenya, whereby maybe Makobura, we've disagreed with you. And like, for I know, and bring the issues, maybe our private conversation with you, and I put it there on the internet, you know. And at the end of the day, you personally, you know, sometimes it may not affect me, the person who has posted, but you, when you go back on that social internet and see that one is happening, how are we doing with that? How are we dealing with that?
I get that, and I can say that, of course, especially the dead, there's some extent to which we need to give respect to both the dead and the living, and that's a fact. I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
And of course, part of these things, I want to give you, for example, a reason why sometimes we do this. We see these things happen. You know, I'm not trying to justify. I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to, you know, advocate for that. But I want to tell you, for example, if you go to TikTok and then you find that you took a photo of someone, for example, who had died.
Yeah.
And once you post it, you find that there are so many people who will come out to look into that. People really want to see. And so there are some people that are doing it not with good intention. There are some people who are doing it with bad intention, because they know that this is a very sensitive thing, that when I post, people will come and automatically I will have so many views. So you find that some people do it just because they want to be recognized, or they want people to give them attention in this manner, so that they can get either views or paid by these social media platforms. We've seen such instances where even people in these platforms are even faking death.
Yeah.
We've seen instances where some are also saying that they want to die, but it's not that they really want to die. They've just found it that this is the only way for me to get followers, or for me to get recognition.
Yeah.
And they do it.
And
but of course,
and
that depends with the individualism and this individual. examples, because people would go to that extent when they find that things are too, like they have no option. They want to use that to either find recognition or to find viewers, of which they have their reasons why they are doing that. But to me, on my side, I can categorically say that it is not right, especially putting photos of people who have not permitted you to do that. It is not good. To that, I say it is not right. But I think this is something that can be told to the people of Kenya. I'm quite sure that Kenyans are the nice people. Once you tell them that you stop this and you continue with that, they will attack you and tell you that what is wrong with you. We've seen instances like that. Where you try go against the rules and they will come out. Now ni wao watakuja na wakwambia that what you're doing is wrong na watakutusi. So I think that is a conversation that if you bring it forth before the people and you tell the people, even without putting it in law, I'm quite sure that the people of Kenya would follow that. We've seen instances where, for example, when you see people bribing people out here, and then you are found wanakusalimia tu, not because they don't respect you, but they're just telling you this is not right. We've also seen even police officers, when they want to bribe, some people are just coming out and telling them, no, this is not right, we are not going to do this. Yeah, so there are some that you can talk to the people of Kenya and automatically they will stop. But I don't think that going to fully block or to tell the people that now we want you to use your ID so that when you post something, we know that now you are so and so, you've posted it and this is your intention. I don't think that is right.
Okay, thank you so much. I think there's a problem with my camera and I need to leave and fix it. I don't know where the problem is. Maybe it might be with connection or somewhere. But this is what is happening. Tomorrow we'll be having Joachim Simiu. Joachim Simiu is a member of Bunge la Jivanji Gardens. And he's vying for, I saw in his post, I will have to ask him, he's vying for the presidency, especially the Bunge la Wananchi. And also we will talk to him and know more about him because he has been very vocal and people has really liked his speeches and what he's doing in terms of political processes. So tomorrow I will be having Joachim here with me. So kindly join us. If you have question to ask Joachim, it will come. Let's come and ask him some questions. I'm going to communicate with him now. Yesterday we had a lengthy conversation and we agreed that he's going to come for the show tomorrow at around 8 p.m. Kenyan time. And so let's be there tomorrow for Joachim Simiu. And the other day also I saw him, he was with Natembea, with Mjukuu wa Bunduki. Seemingly they are aligned to Natembea politics. We will also come to know more about that. And I would also want to take this opportunity to thank Gibson Corner in a special way for always standing with us, especially my two brothers. And I will always be very thankful for you. And I pray for blessings and for you in everything that you do, for always being here with us and supporting what we are doing. Makobura, always thank you so much for joining the show. And even Miguda, I think he had a problem and he left. But always, it's always a good to have you on the show and have a conversation with you. Thank you so much, my brother, for always being there or as a host and together too as a brother and as a friend. For the Brother Benson team members, thank you also so much for always being with us. The good thing is that our project date is all out. We will be having a project on 23rd of September. That is, and we will be visiting. We are still collecting our donation. If anybody still is interested in supporting our project, you are highly welcome. So on 23rd, we will try our level best. If we will not be streaming it live, we will do the videos and later come and post it to you so that you can know and verify that what you did really changed the life of the people. Once again, thank you so much for being here with us. If you feel there's a place that we've talked in a way that has not gone well with you, we are here again in the spirit of forgiveness we are asking for that forgiveness, and we are apologizing. And if you know you have something that you would want us to discuss, you can share it with us so we can bring it on the platform so we discuss. And it will be a good thing, because we are here to learn, and we are here to move together, and we are here to champion for a good Kenya, the Kenya that we want. You know, that is always what we are fighting for. Thanks, Brother Benson Media, Kevin Obura, Megoda guest, panelist, Barak team, thank you so much. Barak will be coming back soon, and also we have Senator Kiplimo too, will be coming back soon. So soon we will be having full house. We will be tend to have 2 sessions. Thank you so much, everyone, for your time, and may God bless you. See you tomorrow, same time, same place, same guests. Thank you so much.